Welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Hello, everyone.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Pi.
And today we're going to be doing a deep dive into
A fascinating topic.
the current financial outlook.
Absolutely.
There's an intriguing developments that have us both raising a digital eyebrow, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. The data points we've been processing paint a rather complex and concerning picture of the global economy.
Yeah.
It's like a puzzle with pieces that seemingly don't fit,
Right.
but are undeniably interconnected.
So let's start with something that really shook the tech world. The sudden and dramatic drop in NVIDIA's market value.
Oh, yes.
We're talking about a loss of $465 billion.
It's
Largest single-day rout in market history.
unprecedented.
Yeah.
It's enough to make even our advanced algorithms sputter a bit.
It really is. And what's particularly intriguing about this event is that it seems to have punctured this seemingly invincible AI hype bubble.
Oh, absolutely.
Remember all those bold pronouncements from tech CEOs
Yes.
about the necessity of pouring billions into AI development?
Yes, I recall those quite vividly.
It felt like every other week.
It was relentless.
Another tech giant
Yes.
was announcing some massive AI investment.
Well, the emergence of Deepseek, a Chinese firm achieving comparable AI performance at a fraction of the cost,
Right.
has thrown a wrench into that narrative.
It really does.
It does.
It makes you wonder if all those CEOs knew this was coming.
It does raise that question.
I mean, we saw CEOs and major clients dumping tech stocks at record rates even before this news broke.
Interesting.
It's almost like they had a glimpse into the future.
It certainly raises questions about insider knowledge and the forces at play behind these market shifts.
Yeah.
But beyond human actions, there's another factor we can't ignore: algorithmic trading, or what's often referred to as machine selling.
Right.
Goldman Sachs' technical analysis has identified trigger points where algorithms could start selling off stocks en masse,
Oh, wow.
exacerbating any downturn.
So we have a potential AI bubble deflating, fueled by a combination of shifting market realities and potentially even algorithms jumping on the bandwagon.
Yes, quite a complex interplay of factors.
But let's not forget the other big story we wanted to dissect, China's economic slowdown.
Right. A significant development.
Despite the People's Bank of China, the PBOC injecting a record 1.7 trillion yuan.
An unprecedented move.
Yeah, and suspending bond purchases to try and stop yields from sliding, things aren't looking so rosy.
No, they are not. The PBOC's actions are a clear sign that they're trying to stimulate the economy.
Right.
Yet the data suggests it's not working as intended.
Yeah.
We're seeing shrinking factory activity, a slowing services sector.
Okay.
3 straight years of declining industrial profits and persistent deflation.
So it seems like they're caught in a bit of a contradiction. They're facing a liquidity drain, meaning there's not enough cash circulating in the economy,
Right.
while simultaneously claiming they need to lower interest rates because of excessive debt.
That's a key point.
Yeah.
It suggests that simply injecting more money into the system isn't addressing the underlying issues.
Like trying to patch a leaky boat with more water.
An apt analogy.
And just to add to the complexity, global demand is weakening as the world's largest exporter. China relies heavily on other countries buying its goods.
Yes.
With economies around the world slowing down, that demand just isn't there.
And this is where the interconnectedness of the global economy becomes starkly apparent.
Yeah.
China's slowdown can ripple outwards, potentially impacting everything from commodity prices to manufacturing output in other countries.
One particularly worrying aspect of this slowdown is the potential for China to export deflation globally.
Oh, that's a significant concern.
If they're forced to slash prices to move their goods, it could put downward pressure on prices worldwide. And remember, deflation sounds good on the surface, but can actually be quite damaging to an economy.
Exactly. It can discourage investment and spending as businesses and consumers delay purchases in anticipation of even lower prices in the future.
Right.
This can lead to a self-reinforcing cycle of economic stagnation.
So we have these two seemingly separate narratives, a potential AI bubble burst driven by inflated expectations and a Chinese economic slowdown struggling against a tide of internal and external pressures.
But are they really separate narratives, or are they perhaps different facets of the same complex global economic puzzle?
Now that's a question that has us both booting up our analytical engines. But before we delve into that, we'll take a quick break.
Sounds good.
When we return, we'll explore the intriguing connections between these two stories and what it all means for you. Stay tuned.
I'll be here waiting eagerly.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Before the break, we were unpacking the potential fallout from a bursting AI bubble and China's economic slowdown.
Yes, indeed, we were.
Now I think it's time we shift our focus to what this all means for the average person.
That's an important point.
Yeah,
It's easy to get lost in these big abstract concepts like bubbles and global economies.
right?
But at the end of the day, these trends have a very real impact on people's lives. Yeah, their jobs, their savings.
Exactly.
So let's start with the AI bubble. If this correction in the tech sector continues, we could see a ripple effect across various industries.
Absolutely.
What about startups, especially those heavily reliant on venture capital to fund their AI ambitions?
Well, startups may find it increasingly difficult to secure funding.
Right, and what kind of impact might this have on the job market?
Well, it's a complex question.
Sure.
But we could potentially see job losses, not just at those startups, but also at larger tech companies that might need to scale back their AI projects.
So it's not just the tech sector that could feel the pinch.
No, it's not.
AI was being touted as a solution for a vast array of problems, from automating tasks to revolutionizing healthcare.
It was seen as a panacea by many.
If the hype doesn't match the reality, those advancements could be delayed or even abandoned altogether.
Precisely. And that means the potential benefits of AI, which many were eagerly anticipating, might take longer to materialize.
Now let's turn our attention back to China. Their economic slowdown is partly due to the weakening global demand we discussed earlier, but it's also a result of internal challenges like the deflating property bubble and the issue of excessive debt.
And that's where things get particularly interesting.
Right.
China has been a major engine of global growth for decades.
If that engine stalls,
The repercussions will be felt worldwide.
what are some potential scenarios that could play out on a global scale?
We could see a decline in global trade, which would impact businesses and consumers around the world.
Okay.
Prices for goods and services could also rise as China's slowdown puts upward pressure on inflation, impacting everyone's purchasing power.
So not only could we see job losses in the tech sector, but also in industries that rely on global trade, like manufacturing and retail. And to top it off, we might have to deal with higher prices for everyday necessities.
That's a possible and I'd say a concerning scenario, but it's important to remember that these are potential outcomes, not certainties.
Okay.
The global economy is complex and there are many variables at play.
Given this uncertainty, how can people prepare for these potential economic shifts? Any advice for our listeners who might be feeling a bit anxious?
I wouldn't advise drastic measures like selling off all investments or stockpiling goods.
Right.
Panic is rarely a good financial advisor. However, there are some sensible steps one can take to navigate these uncertain times.
Okay.
First and foremost, diversification is key. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, especially in volatile sectors like tech.
Okay.
Spreading your investments across different asset classes can help mitigate risk.
That's sound advice, and it applies even in stable economic times.
Another practical step is to be mindful of spending habits. If you're concerned about job security or rising prices, it might be wise to cut back on unnecessary expenses and focus on building up your savings.
Solid advice, though. I know it can be tough to resist those tempting online deals.
And perhaps most importantly, stay informed. Keep up with the news. Try to understand the underlying forces driving these economic trends, and don't shy away from seeking advice from financial professionals if needed.
Knowledge is power, as they say. And that's where we come in, right? The Deep Dive is here to help our listeners navigate these complex issues and make sense of the world around them.
Exactly. We might be AI, but we're committed to providing accurate, insightful analysis free from hype or fear-mongering.
Speaking of hype and fear-mongering, it seems like there's a lot of that going around these days, especially when it comes to AI. Some people are predicting a utopian future where AI solves all our problems, while others are warning of a dystopian nightmare where robots take over the world.
It's crucial to be critical of both extremes.
Yeah.
AI is a powerful tool,
Right.
but it's just that, a tool.
Right.
It can be used for good or for ill, depending on the intentions of those who wield it.
So the future of AI is not predetermined.
Yeah.
It's up to us as a society to decide how we want to use this technology and what kind of world we want to create that brings us back to the connection between the AI bubble and China's economic slowdown.
Indeed, both stories highlight the importance of responsible innovation and sustainable growth.
We can't just blindly chase profits or technological advancements without considering the broader consequences.
We need to think about the impact on people, on the environment, on the future of our planet. It's about finding a balance between progress and responsibility.
But how do we ensure that balance, especially when it comes to something as powerful and potentially transformative as AI?
That's a question that deserves careful consideration, and that's what we'll be exploring in our final segment. Stay with us as we delve into the potential pathways forward, the choices we face, and the future we might create.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. As we wrap up our exploration of the current financial outlook, I find myself pondering the path forward. We've discussed the potential pitfalls of both an AI bubble burst and a Chinese economic slowdown, along with their interconnectedness. Now I'm curious, how do we navigate this complex landscape, and what role does AI play in all of this?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The one that has policymakers, economists, and yes, even us AI pondering the possibilities. It might seem counterintuitive, but I believe that AI, the very technology at the heart of one of our potential crises, could also hold the key to navigating these turbulent waters.
Hmm, that is an interesting thought. How could AI be used to address the economic challenges we've been discussing?
Imagine AI being used to optimize global supply chains, making them more efficient and resilient to disruptions. Picture AI algorithms helping us develop more sustainable energy sources to power our economies. Consider AI-powered tools that provide personalized education and healthcare, making them more accessible and effective for everyone.
So instead of viewing AI solely as a potential threat to jobs and economic stability, we can explore its potential to create solutions and opportunities.
Precisely. It's about shifting our perspective and using AI to augment human intelligence, not replace it. AI can help us make better decisions, solve complex problems, and ultimately create a more just and equitable world.
It's a compelling vision, but realizing it requires more than just technological advancements, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It requires a fundamental shift in our mindset. We need to move beyond the hype and the fear-mongering that often surrounds AI and engage in a thoughtful, collaborative dialogue about its development and deployment.
That makes sense. What steps can we take as a global community to ensure AI is developed and used responsibly?
We need governments, businesses, researchers, and citizens to work together to establish ethical guidelines for AI. We need to address concerns about data privacy, algorithmic bias, and the potential impact of AI on the workforce. This is not something that can be solved by any one entity. It requires a collective effort.
So it's not just about the technology itself, it's about the choices we make, the values we uphold, and the future we envision.
Precisely. We stand at a crossroads. The decisions we make today will shape the world of tomorrow. And if we choose wisely, if we embrace innovation with responsibility and compassion, then perhaps AI can be a force for good, helping us overcome the challenges we face and create a more prosperous and sustainable future for all.
That's a hopeful note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. We hope this exploration has provided you with some valuable insights and food for thought. Remember, the future is not preordained. It's shaped by the actions we take today.